student. Welcome to the class of operating system. Today our topic is memory management. These are the things that we are going to discuss today. The first, background of the memory management. After that, we have to address about address binding, and then we are going to discuss about logical and physical address. And at last, we are going to discuss about swapping. So these are the issues, these are the topics we are going to discuss today. So firstly, we are going to discuss about some background that is required for memory management. So before discussing anything, before start anything, I want to discuss what do mean, I mean, what is memory management basically. So we know what is memory. Okay. Memory in this chapter, or we are going to concentrate about physical, about the main memory, that is the primary memory we say. So basically, primary memory is a very important thing. Primary memory or main memory is a very important thing, because whenever a program is in execution, it should be loaded in main memory. That means a process which is in execution, it should be have some place in main memory. It should be stored in main memory. But the problem is what? The size of main memory. The size of main memory is not expandable, and it is not a very large size also. Secondary memory can be expandable, but the size of main memory is a fixed one. So we cannot accommodate all process in main memory at a while. So we require some sort of management skill to accommodate the processes which are now in execution. That means the active processes should be located in the main memory. So we need to manage the space of the main memory in such a way that all active processes can accommodate themselves in the main memory or can manage their processing. Okay. So in memory management module, basically we are going to discuss about many kind of how to manage the memory basically. Now memory can be primary memory, virtual memory, then secondary memory. But now today we are very much concerned about primary memory. We are discussing whatever discussion we made, that is actually we are discussing about the primary memory, that means main memory. Okay. So the program must be brought obviously from disk, because whenever the program is not in execution, then it is located at disk, which is our secondary memory. So the program must be brought into memory and placed within a process for it to be run. That's what I have discussed. If the program is in execution, then it must be brought into memory, means primary memory. Main memory and registers are only storage CPU can access directly. So CPU cannot directly access disk. So the processor, if wants to processing a process, we require a processor. So a processor can directly access what? Main memory and registers only. So registers access in one CPU clock. Main memory can take many cycles. Okay. So, but the thing is what, the register size is very less. Okay. So we cannot accommodate all the processes in registers. we can only accommodate some instruction in register. So for this purpose, we again require main memory. So cache sits between main memory and CPU register. You know what is cache? Cache are the portion of memory where the randomly visited things are going to be stored. So it is actually between memory and CPU registers. So protection of memory is very important for ensure the correct operation. If you cannot ensure protection of memory, then many problems can occur that we will discuss later. So the first thing in these regards, we are going to discuss what? The base and limit register. So what is it? A pair of base and limit registers define the logical address space. So logical address space is an area which is the CPU generated addresses are there. So basically these addresses are logical. There is no physical existence of this address. Okay. So for this reason, these are logical address space. So base register and limit register, they are two things, the pair of registers who are going to define the logical address space. So now suppose we are going to discuss about, so here you can see a process. For a process, there is a logical address space. In the logical address space, there is a base register value. So the base register value is going to say from where the process area starts. In that logical address space, from which position that particular process is start. So base register is actually going to say the base value. Okay. And the limit is actually the size of the process. So if you add the limit to the base limit register value with the base register value, then actually you are going to have the total area. Here you can see for this particular process, this is the value of limit register and this is the value of the base register. So basically these value is come by adding the limit register value with the base register value. We are just going to add the limit register value with the base register value and we have the end address in the logical address space. So basically in the logical address space, when we are going to define an address, we have two things, base register value and limit register value. But base register value is actually indicating the starting address of a particular process. Limit register, by adding the limit register value with the base register value, we are going to have the end register value. Okay. So this is basically the base and limit register. Now, what is address binding? So address binding is basically whenever we are going to bind the address of what? Address of a particular instruction and data to memory address. So we are actually going to bind the logical address with the memory address. That means the physical address. Basically two types of address are there, logical address and physical address. Logical address are basically the CPU generated address. And physical address is basically the memory generated address. That means the memory address, the actual address in the main memory. So whenever a process is in execution, it's required a physical memory access. Before that, it can have a logical memory address. So the logical memory address can meet whenever an instruction is going to be executed. So the address of that instruction and data required for that instruction execution, the address of those should be converted into the logical address to the physical memory address. So there must be a connection between them. So that connection is basically the address binding. Now the thing is what? The address binding can be done in many times. In some cases, it can be done in compile time. Okay. So if memory location known a priori, the absolute code can be generated. Must recompile code if starting location changes. So if the address binding is done, address binding means one kind of mapping. Okay, the physical memory address, we are going to map the logical memory address to the physical memory address. So if this binding is performed at compile time, then what happened? Whenever we are going to change the code, we are going to change the program, we need to recompile the code, because whenever we are compiling the in memory, the changes is actually going to be reflected. So whenever the things are changes in the process or program, so we need to recompile it again. Again the address binding is done. That means whatever changes done is going to be reflect in the memory, and then it can be done. Okay, so that is compile time. Now if we are going to done it in load time, so we must generate a relocatable code if memory location is not known at compile time. So relocatable code is very much important if the address binding is done at load time. Now execution time. So binding delayed until runtime if the process can be moved during its execution from one memory segment to another. Binding delayed until runtime if the process can be moved during its execution from one memory segment to another. So this is basically the dynamic binding. When the program is in execution, then the binding is done. Okay. So it's required hardware support for address space, just like base and repeat registers. Okay. So these are the three times where the address binding can be performed: compile time, load time, and execution time. So if it is done in compile time and load time, that means the static binding is taken place. If it is done in execution time, that means we are talking about dynamic address binding. So this is basically analysis that we can discuss according just for a C program, the multi-step processing of a user program. Okay, so whenever a program is going to be processed, what are the steps we need to execute? So firstly, there is a source program, that is the text section. So compile whenever the program is written. After that, we are going to run the compiler or assembler. Okay. So if the address binding is done in compile time, then this is the time when the address binding perform. Now after compilation, we are going to have a OB object file. So if all of you are familiar with C program, suppose you have a file a.c. So after compilation, you know that a.obj file will be created, that is the object module. So in this way, many object modules can be created, and there is a linkage editor who are going to link those object modules and load that modules in the loader. So if whenever we are going to load the module, some system library programs are also process are going to contribute in that, and loader is going to load the module. So if the binding is performed in load time, then this is the time the linking and loading is performed in this time, and in this time the address binding is also performed if it is performed in load time. Okay. Now after loader, now the program is going to be, we are going to be done. Now the loading is done. Okay. So now we are going to have what? The executable file, that is the a.exe basically. If you are talking about a C program, in here the file a.c is created. After compilation, a.obj is created. After loading, a.exe is created. Okay, so now in main memory, binary image map is going to be created. The exe file is created. Okay, so if the address binding is performed in this case, that is basically the runtime or execution time or dynamic binding. So this, by this picture, it is very clearly understand what, in which time, in which step basically the address binding is done. Suppose it is done in compile time, so it is done in here in this position. After that, all these things have to be happen. If it is done in loading time, then this is the position where it is happened. And if it is done in execution time, then at the end of doing all these, then this is going to be done. Okay. So I have discussed two types of address can be there, logical address and physical address. So the concept of logical address space that is bound to a separate physical address space is central to proper memory management. So logical address is basically what? The address generated by the CPU. It also referred to as virtual address because these addresses have no physical existence. Physical address is address seen by a memory unit, that is the actual address. So logical and physical address are the same in compile time and load time address binding schemes. But logical and physical address differ in execution time address binding scheme, obviously. Because if it is done in this position or in this position, then the logical address and physical address are same because it is already a physical address is going to assign to that particular process. Because the address binding is done before execution. But if it is done in execution time, that is whenever it is executing, that time the address binding is done. Then obviously after this, for performing all these tasks, we require a logical address, that is the CPU generated address. And whenever the address binding is done in execution time, then we are going to have a physical address. Okay. So what is memory management unit or MMU? This is basically a hardware. Okay. A hardware device to map virtual to physical address. It is very important. Without memory management unit, we cannot go for execution time binding. Okay, dynamic binding is not possible without memory management unit. So in memory management unit scheme, the value in the relocation register is added to every address generated by a user process at the time it is sent to memory. Okay, the user program deals with logical address. It never sees the real physical address. Okay, so memory management unit is actually perform all this. Here you can see, so CPU is going to generate a logical address. Suppose this is the logical address. So the memory management unit is responsible for adding the relocation register value is going to be added with the logical address, and now we are going to have a physical address. Okay, and it is going to say where in the main memory my program is actually going to be located. Okay, so MMU is very much important. So now we are going to discuss what is dynamic loading and static loading. Firstly, I am going to discuss that. What is dynamic loading? So in dynamic loading, routine is not loaded until it is called. Better memory space utilization, unused routine is never loaded. Useful when large amount of code are needed to handle infrequently occurring cases. No special support from the operating system is required implemented through the program design. So basically the dynamic loading is what? When the loading perform in execution time. Now here is a comparison between static loading and dynamic loading. You can see in case of static loading, the complete program is linked and compiled without dependency of an external program because it is done statically. Okay, before it is linked with the external program. And in case of dynamic loading, all the modules are loaded dynamically. The developer provides a reference to all of them and the rest of the work is done at execution time. Okay, so execution time, everything is going to be done. So that is a overhead obviously, but that actually limited the wastage. So absolute data and program are loaded into the memory to start execution. Loading of data and information takes bit by bit in runtime. The linker combines the object program with other object modules to make a single program. But in this case, the linker process takes place dynamically in relocatable form. Data is loaded into the memory only when it is needed in the program, otherwise no. The processing speed is faster as no files are updated during the processing time. Everything is done previously now. So obviously the processing speed is faster. The processing speed is slower as files are uploaded at the time of processing. Extra overhead I have told. The code may or may not be executed once it is loaded into the memory. Okay, because it is loaded before execution. So the execution may not be possible due to some reason, but the loading is perfect. The execution takes place only when it is required. Then only the dynamic loading is performed. So static loading is done only in the case of structured programming language such as C. Otherwise, dynamic loading takes place in case of object-oriented programming language such as C++, Java, etc. The primary drawback is the wastage of memory, since when the code is loaded, it might and might not be executed. But the primary benefit for dynamic loading is what? Efficient memory utilization. If it is required, then only it is loaded. So this is a comparison between static and dynamic loading. Now we are going to compare between static and dynamic linking, but before that, just go through what is dynamic linking. So dynamic linking postponed until execution time. Execution time, the linking is performed. So until the execution, it is postponed. Small piece of code stub used to locate the appropriate memory resident library routine. Stub replaces itself with the address of the routine and executes the routine. Operating system needed to check if routine is in processor's memory address. Dynamic linking is particularly useful for libraries. System also known as shared libraries. So what is the difference with static linking? Just go through. Files that are statically linked are larger in size as they contain external programs with their details. But for dynamic linking, the linked files are smaller. In case of static linking, the process is conducted by programs known as linkers. It is the last step in the compilation of a program. But if you are talking about dynamic linking, it is performed in runtime by the operating system. There is no linkers required basically. So if any external program changes, then it requires recompilation and relinking. Else the changes will not be reflected in the existing executable files. But individual shared modules can be updated and recompiled. The programs can be changed as many times as needed. Okay, it's not bother about recompile and reload of the total thing. Programs under static linking take constant load time each time they are loaded into the memory for execution. But the load time must be minimized if the shared library code is already present in the memory. For case of dynamic linking, programs that use this method are comparatively faster as they contain all the data and information necessary for processing. But in case of dynamic linking, everything is done in runtime, so it's usually slower. Okay. All the code in this case is contained in a single executable file, and thus the program never faced compatibility issues. But a compatible library is necessary in this case, in case of dynamic linking. In the case of a changed library, the applications need a network to make them more compatible with the new library. Also, if a library is removed from the system, programs that use this library will not work. Okay, you need to take care of. So now we are going to compare logical versus physical address space. So the first thing, we are going to compare the basic things about the logical address and physical address. So logical address is basically a virtual address which is generated by the CPU. But physical address is a location in a memory unit. There is no virtual things. There is a physical existence of that address. Now, if you think in respect of address space, in case of logical address, basically set of all logical address generated by CPU in reference to a program is referred as logical address space. But in this case, it's referred to as physical address space. Okay. Now, if you think about the visibility, the user can view the logical address of a program, but a user can never view the physical address of a program. It's not permitted. If you think about in the respect of address, in the context of access, the user uses the logical address to access the physical address, but the user cannot directly access the physical address. Okay, so there is no access, direct access to the physical address from the user point of view. Now, in the context of generation, the logical address is generated by the CPU and the physical address is basically computed by MMU. Okay, we have discussed how the relocatable address value is going to be added with the logical address, and then the physical address is generated. So now I think this is the last thing we are going to discuss today, that is the swapping. So because I have already told, if the process is in execution, it should be located in the main memory. But the thing is what, the size of main memory is a fixed size and it is very less. So we need to require some methodology by which if the program is in execution, then it should be swapping in the main memory, and which program or which process is not running at that time, it should be swap out. That is basically the swap in and swap out. That is basically the swapping. So a process can be swapped temporarily out of memory to a backing store and then brought back into memory for continued execution. That is basically swapping. So what is backing store? First, disks large enough to accommodate copies of all memory images for all users must provide direct access to this memory images. That is basically backing store. Rollout and roll-in. Swapping variant used for priority-based scheduling algorithms. So in place of swap out and swap in, they're using rollout and roll-in. So lower priority process is swapped out, so higher priority process can be loaded and executed. So major part of swap time is transfer time. Total transfer time is directly proportional to the amount of memory swapped. Modified version of swapping are found on many systems, for example, Unix, Linux, Windows. The system maintains a ready queue. You are already aware about ready queue of ready to run processes which have memory image on disk. So that is basically swapping. So today we have discussed about some background issues of memory management. We have discussed about address binding, the dynamic binding and static binding, dynamic linking and static linking, dynamic loading and static loading. We have discussed about the management, memory management unit, that is MMU, the steps of a program or process, how it can be loaded or address binding is done in different time. We have discussed about the logical address space and physical address space, and we have discussed about swap. So this is all about today's class. In the next class, we are going to discuss about different issues of memory management scheme. Obviously, first we are going to discuss about the issues regarding to the main memory. So for that, thank you student and be safe.